You know what I've realized? Most people aren't really living. They're existing. They wake up, grab their phone, check their notifications, scroll through someone else's life, and then rush into their day on autopilot. It's like they're passengers, just sitting in the backseat of their own story, watching life happen instead of driving it. You've probably felt it too, haven't you? That quiet voice inside whispering, "Is this really it? Is this all my life is going to be?" And instead of listening, you push it down. You say, "I'll figure it out later." But later never comes. Because here's the truth. You don't lose your passion in one day, you lose it in 1,000 small hesitations. Every time you choose comfort over courage, silence over honesty, distraction over direction, you drift a little further away from yourself. The silent drift. Drifting doesn't feel dramatic. It's quiet. It's safe. It's comfortable. You tell yourself, "I'm fine. I'll change when the time's right." But the time never feels right. And that's the trap. See, being a passenger feels easier than being the driver. Because when you're not in control, you don't have to take responsibility. You can blame traffic. You can blame the weather. You can blame someone else's directions. But here's the hard truth. No one's coming to hand you the keys. No one's going to pull you into the driver's seat of your own life. If you want to move forward, you have to stop waiting to be rescued. You have to decide right now that you're done being a passenger. The moment you realize you're lost, let me tell you something real. There comes a moment in everyone's life when you wake up and think, "How did I get here?" You look around and nothing's wrong, but nothing feels right either. You've got routines, responsibilities, maybe even success, but inside you feel disconnected, like you're living on repeat, and you can't even remember the last time you felt truly alive. That's not depression, that's disconnection. You've disconnected from your power, your voice, your spark, and you didn't even notice it slipping away because life got loud. Everyone's telling you who to be, what to do, what success should look like, and in the noise, you forgot what you sound like. The truth about control. Let's get honest. The reason you feel stuck isn't because you don't know what to do. It's because you don't believe you have control. You've convinced yourself that life happens to you, not for you. You say things like, "I can't help it. It's not the right time. I'm just not that lucky." But guess what? That's not truth. That's habit. You've trained your brain to give up control before you even try to take it. The reality, you have more control than you think. You control what you focus on. You control how you respond. You control what you do next. And that's everything. Because the direction of your life isn't decided by your feelings. It's decided by your decisions. So let me ask you something. If you could see yourself 5 years from now, same routines, same thoughts, same fears, would you be proud of the person staring back at you? Or would you wish you had taken the wheel sooner? Because this right now, this is the moment where you get to choose. You can stay a passenger, or you can start driving. But here's the catch. The road doesn't reveal itself until you move. You want clarity? Start moving. You want confidence? Start trying. You want control? Start acting. Part 1 closing, the first gear. When I finally realized I was a passenger in my own life, I was furious. Furious at the excuses. Furious at the wasted time. Furious at the fear that kept me silent. But that anger, that energy, it woke me up. Because you can't change what you won't confront. And I had to confront the truth. I had been sitting in the back seat, letting life drive me. So I did something radical. I reached for the wheel. And the second I did, everything started to change. Not because the road got easier, but because I stopped drifting. And when you stop drifting, you start living. You know what's wild? Most of us spend more time planning a vacation than we do planning our lives. We'll research flights, check hotels, read reviews. We'll obsess over every tiny detail of a trip that lasts 1 week. But the life we're living every single day, we just wing it. Wake up, rush, react, repeat. We've built routines that make us busy but not fulfilled. And we've confused movement with progress. The loop you don't see. Autopilot feels safe, doesn't it? You wake up, do the same things in the same order, see the same people, complain about the same problems. And deep down, you tell yourself you'll change, just not today. You'll start that project when things calm down. You'll get healthy when work slows. You'll take that leap when the timing's right. But let me tell you a secret. The timing will never feel right. Autopilot doesn't wait for permission. It just keeps going, loop after loop, until you forget what alive even feels like. And then one day you wake up and realize you've been sleeping through your own life. You start noticing little things. The spark in your eyes isn't there anymore. The laughter sounds rehearsed. You smile in photos, but your heart feels heavy. You've checked all the boxes, career, family, bills, but you can't shake that emptiness. That's not failure, that's feedback. It's your soul saying, "Hey, this isn't what we were made for." But you've gotten so used to noise, you don't hear it anymore. Why? You gave away control. Let's be honest. You didn't hand over control all at once. It happened slowly, through little moments when you stopped trusting yourself. When someone told you your dream was unrealistic and you believed them. When you made a mistake and decided you weren't good enough. When life knocked you down and you stopped getting up as fast. Every time you said, "It's fine, I'll just settle," you handed over a piece of the wheel. And now, you're sitting in the passenger seat, watching everyone else speed past you, wondering why you're still stuck. The lie of someday. You keep telling yourself, someday I'll go for it. Someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll feel happy again. But someday isn't a day on the calendar. It's an illusion. It's your brain's way of protecting you from risk. Because if you say someday, you don't have to face the fear of starting today. But here's the truth. You can't steer a parked car. You have to move, even if you're scared. Fear, the real driver. Let's talk about the real driver in most people's lives. Fear. Fear of failing. Fear of being judged. Fear of losing what you already have. You know what fear really is? It's your mind trying to predict pain. It whispers, don't change, it might hurt. Don't speak up, they might laugh. Don't try, you might lose. But here's the crazy part. When you avoid the things that scare you, you don't avoid pain. You guarantee it. Because regret hurts longer than failure ever will. I want you to imagine your future self, 10 years from now, looking back at today. Will they thank you for being brave? Or will they wish you'd stopped waiting for permission? Because one day, you'll wake up and realize there's no one left to blame. No boss, no system, no excuse. It's just you and the choices you did or didn't make. And that moment, that's when the truth hits. You weren't unlucky. You were unfocused. You weren't behind. You were hesitant. You weren't powerless. You just didn't believe you were in control. Taking the wheel. So how do you take control back? How do you move from passenger to driver? It starts with awareness. You can't change what you don't see. Start noticing where you've gone numb, where you've stopped trying, where you've said, this is just how it is. That's the first step, because the moment you notice, you interrupt the pattern. The next step, make one small decision that moves you forward. Not a massive leap, just one small turn of the wheel. Send the email, make the call, say no when you usually say yes when you usually say no. Every action, no matter how small, is a way of saying, I'm taking my life back. Momentum over motivation. Stop waiting to feel like it. Motivation is unreliable. Momentum is what saves you. Once you start moving, your brain starts believing, and that belief builds confidence. It's not about changing your whole life overnight. It's about changing one moment at a time, until the moments start to compound. That's how you build a new identity, not by talking about it, but by proving it through action. Part 2, closing. The turning point. You are not a passenger. You never were. Life may have convinced you to sit quietly, but the truth is you've always had the keys. They've been in your hand the whole time. You just forgot to use them. So this is your reminder. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. There isn't one. The road doesn't open for the driver who waits. It opens for the one who moves. It's time to stop watching your life like a movie and start directing it, because you're not meant to sit in the back seat. You're meant to drive. You know that moment when you realize, I've had enough. Enough of excuses. Enough of waiting. Enough of feeling like life is just happening to you. That moment right there, that's the crack where change begins. Because you can't create a new life with the same thinking that kept you stuck in the old one. The choice you keep avoiding. Every day you make two kinds of choices. The ones that move you forward, and the ones that keep you safe. And most people, they keep choosing safe and calling it smart. They say things like, I'm being realistic. I'm just protecting myself. I'll start when I'm ready. But let's be honest, you're not protecting yourself from failure. You're protecting yourself from discomfort. You don't need more confidence. You need more courage. Confidence comes after action, not before it. The reprogramming. Let's talk about your brain for a second. Because the reason you keep riding in the passenger seat isn't because you're broken. It's because you're wired for survival. Your brain loves patterns. It repeats what's familiar, even if it's miserable. Comfort feels like safety, and safety feels like control. But here's the truth. Comfort is just a cage with nice pillows. You'll never build a meaningful life while playing it safe. So if you want to rewire your brain, you have to teach it that uncertainty isn't danger. It's growth. How? By taking small, deliberate actions every single day. Because repetition rewires. Every act of courage becomes a signal to your brain. We're doing this now. And over time, that becomes your new normal. You see, every great driver learns to trust the road. They know the bumps are part of the journey. They don't stop every time it rains. They keep moving. And that's exactly what you need to do. Stop stopping. You don't have to see the whole map. You just have to turn the wheel a little today. Identity, the engine behind change. Here's what no one tells you. You can't drive differently if you still see yourself as the passenger. If you keep saying, I'm not disciplined, I'm not confident, I'm not that kind of person, then guess what? You're building an identity around hesitation, and your brain will make sure you act like it. You have to rewrite that identity. Start saying, I'm the kind of person who shows up. I'm the kind of person who does hard things. I'm the kind of person who doesn't wait for motivation. Say it, then prove it. One small action at a time. Because when your actions start aligning with your new identity, you stop faking confidence and start becoming it. The 5-second power shift reframed. Here's a trick I use every single day. When that voice of doubt shows up, and it will, I don't negotiate, I count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move. Why? Because action interrupts fear. You can't think your way out of hesitation. You can only move through it. That 5-second window is the bridge between knowing and doing. And the more you use it, the more you realize you've been in control the entire time. Real story, the taxi driver. I met a man once who drove taxis for 20 years. Every night he drove other people to the places they wanted to go, while he kept telling himself, one day I'll start my own business. One day turned into 10 years, then 15, then 20. Until one night, he picked up a young entrepreneur, someone half his age, who told him, "Man, you're not a driver, you're a dreamer who stopped driving for himself." That hit him. The next week, he started small. He wrote down a business idea. 6 months later, he launched a small delivery service. 2 years later, he owned 5 cars. He told me, "The moment I stopped being the guy who drives everyone else's dreams and started driving my own, everything changed." You don't need a new car. You need a new direction. Breaking the pattern. Here's the pattern most people live in. They wait until they feel ready. But feelings are the last thing to change. If you wait until you're confident, you'll never start. If you wait until you're comfortable, you'll never grow. If you wait until it's easy, you'll never move. You don't get confidence first. You earn it through movement. So stop trying to control how you feel and start controlling what you do. Look, I know it's scary. I know it's messy. I know you've been hurt before, but you've survived everything life has thrown at you so far. You've been through things you thought would break you, and yet here you are. That means you're not fragile. You're powerful. You're not a passenger. You're the driver. You just forgot for a while, and now you remember. Part 3 closing, the shift. So here's your job. Every morning, grab the wheel, even if you don't feel like it. Even if you don't know the route. You don't have to go fast. You just have to go forward. Because when you move, life starts moving with you. You stop waiting for signs and start creating them. You stop asking for direction and start giving it. And that's when everything changes. Not because the world suddenly got easier, but because you stopped riding and started driving. The truth about change. Here's what nobody tells you. Changing your life isn't about doing more. It's about deciding differently. Because real change doesn't happen when you say, "I want a better life." It happens when you say, "I'm done living like this." That's the line in the sand. That's where a new chapter begins. And once you cross it, you can never unsee what you've seen. You realize that control was never taken from you. You just stopped using it. Momentum over motivation again. Motivation fades. You can't rely on it ever. But momentum, that's built. Every time you get up when you don't feel like it, that's momentum. Every time you choose courage instead of comfort, that's momentum. Every time you silence that little voice of doubt, you're building a pattern of power. Because the more you act, the more you trust yourself. And the more you trust yourself, the less you need motivation. You become your own proof. The myth of big breaks. People love to talk about overnight success, but there's no such thing. There's only daily success. Tiny, unglamorous, consistent moves that nobody claps for until one day everyone calls you lucky. You're not waiting for a big break. You're building one. Every choice, every action, every uncomfortable moment, that's a brick in your foundation. You want to know what's harder than starting? Starting again. And yet you've done it before. You can do it again. The power of ordinary days. We romanticize change like it's supposed to feel cinematic. Fireworks, music swelling, big breakthroughs. But that's not how it works. Change happens in quiet mornings when you choose discipline over distraction. It happens when you get up and try again, even though no one's watching. It's the ordinary days that make you extraordinary. So stop waiting for something dramatic. Stop chasing motivation. Start building habits that prove to yourself, "I'm not who I was." Because the secret to success isn't intensity, it's consistency. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to figure out the next step. And once you take it, take another. That's it. That's the formula for every success story you've ever admired. Not luck, not timing, not talent, just 1,000 small steps in the direction of courage. The mirror test. I want you to try something tomorrow morning. When you wake up and look in the mirror, don't just check your hair or your face. Look in your eyes and ask yourself one question. Am I driving today or am I just riding? Because that question will change everything. If you're just riding, you'll go through the motions. But if you decide to drive, you'll choose differently. You'll walk differently, speak differently, think differently. You'll stop chasing things and start creating them. Your circle, your fuel. Let's talk about who's in the car with you. Because if you're surrounded by people who only know the old version of you, they'll try to hand you the map to their route. They'll say, "Don't go there, it's risky. Stay here, it's safe." But your road is yours. And sometimes, to protect your peace, you've got to change who rides along. You don't need cheerleaders, you need co-drivers. People who remind you who you are when you forget. That means you've got everything you need to drive. Building the road ahead. Now here's how you keep the fire alive. Set a micro goal every morning. Something so small you can't talk yourself out of it. Move your body daily. Action triggers clarity, not the other way around. Silence the inner critic. Replace "I can't" with "I'm learning to." Celebrate the tiny wins. Because progress isn't built in leaps, it's built in layers. Revisit your why. When you remember why you started, you'll always find a reason to keep going. At the end of your life, you won't remember the things you avoided. You'll remember the things you tried. You'll remember the risks that scared you, the decisions that stretched you, and the moments when you refused to settle. And when that day comes, I want you to look back and say, "I drove every mile. I hit bumps. I took detours. I got lost sometimes, but I kept going." Because that's what living really means. Not control, not perfection, but participation. Final words, the driver's promise. So right here, right now, make yourself a promise. I will no longer ride through my life asleep. I will no longer hand over my power. I will no longer wait for permission. From this moment on, you drive.
And when the road gets rough, remember this: you've already made it through worse. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not lost. You are right on time, and the engine's running. So grab the wheel, press the pedal, and go create a life that finally feels like yours.